I'm Steph Hodge with Board Game Geek, here with Pedro and Dennis of Agi Games.
Hello.
And we're looking at Hasp.
Right, so Hasp is a trick-taking game.
Excellent. I love trick-taking games.
Awesome, nice. It's quite special in that it has got only 28 cards.
Okay.
So that was, Dennis is the co-designer of this game.
Okay.
With Christian.
With Christian, yes.
Nice.
And when they presented the game to me, I was immediately, struck by the idea of having a trick-taking game with so few cards, which I think is interesting because I really like trick-taking games, but I don't have often the patience to try and memorize all the cards that come out. So it's a lot easier with fewer cards.
28 cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the game becomes a lot more competitive very quickly.
Do you need 4 players?
No, you can actually play.
Ideal is 4 players, of
Ideal.
course, because that
Tricky.
adds the most intensity to the game, but you can play it with 2 or 3 people.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you do play with 4, then it's a team play as well.
Okay, so you're partners.
True, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's really nasty sometimes, because you're not allowed to talk.
Well,
Yeah?
of course.
And you hope that your partner has the right card, the missing one, whatever it is that you're hoping for.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So the idea is then that you have a bunch of kids, they've been sent out to find things that are part of this village's culture, like food and medicinal plants or precious stones and bones for the shaman,
Okay.
things like that. And so the 4 main suits are actually these children, and they go from 1 to 6. And there's a kind of a progression that 1 is the youngest child, 6 is the oldest child, so it kind of helps you to identify the strength of the card, but it also shows you the value of the card. So this is the oldest kid, for example. You can see there's 4 flowers, so that's actually 4 points.
Oh, okay,
Okay?
sure.
This one has got 3 flowers, that's 3 points.
Yeah, it also shows you in the corner too,
Yeah.
so you don't have to look at the
So, and this kid doesn't really know what he's doing at the moment.
He
so
has a
it doesn't-
worm.
Yeah.
Playing in the dirt, yeah, he's catching the worm.
So no points for 1.
But he's happy too, He's part of the game
Of course,
nevertheless.
exactly.
And then there's the adults as well. So there's a special suit, and this suit is always trump. That's 4 cards, and they go from 7 to 10. So one of the nice things about this is, even though there's 5 suits, potentially you only play with 4, because at the start of each round, one player will determine another suit color. So they could say yellow, and now the trump goes from 1 to 10 actually, because yellow is trump with the adults as well.
The
With-
adults.
Yeah.
Ah.
Okay, so that
But
becomes really
if I
interesting.
have yellow, do I have to play yellow?
Yeah, it's very traditional rules in that whatever the leading suit is, so if you play yellow as the first player of a trick, then everybody else has to play yellow as well if they have it. If they don't, they actually have to play trump if they
they
do.
have to do trump.
Yes.
Right.
So it's a really tricky game in that you want to flush out all these powerful cards and collect, or we can spend them so that you can later on give your points to your partner or collect them yourself. So one of the neat things then as well is that each round is worth a different amount of points depending on what players will predict that they'll do.
Okay.
Right, so the structure is that you deal out 3 cards to each player. So if you play a 4-player game, and then the player to the left of the dealer looks at their cards and decides what the trump is going to be. So maybe in your case, you might want to choose blue,
Nice.
super cards, but
So for doing that, you add 1 point to the jackpot.
okay. So that's the default value of a round. And then we deal out the rest of the cards until we have 7 cards each. And now you go first because you chose the trump. And before you play your first card, you look at your hand and decide, okay, I have a really good hand, so I want to declare that I'm going to have a good find because I tried to find things. And with that, you add another point to the round. So this round is going to be worth 2 points. But then another player can say, I'm going to win all of the tricks, me and my partner,
Shoot the moon.
and that adds 2 points to the round.
Yeah.
So depending on what predictions players do, you
might
can
get more
increase the
points.
value of each round. So at the end of a round, what players do is team players, they add up their tricks.
You
add
better
up
have
the
blue over
points.
there.
No! But we
it's
get
good for
4
you.
more cards
I know, it's
yeah,
not
in the
that's
true.
second round. Also, one thing, Pedro, you went by quickly, but I like to point it out, is the fact that you're announcing trump with only 3 cards in your hand,
Yeah.
getting 4 more, not knowing what I have,
No, I like that.
and the bonus announcement, which are the major find, or the find all or the find nothing, they're only done once you have played. So I'm not allowed to talk until it's my turn.
Oh.
And I might be there and say, oh, don't.
don't do that.
And you're like, find all. And I'm like, oh my God, I have nothing. Or I'm here and go. And you say, oh, find nothing or find all. And you're totally on the opposite because you don't see what I have.
Exactly.
And that
I
gives...
just have to hope that you have
Yes.
what I want you to have.
And now, the most important part is that at the end, no matter what we have announced, the points are going to one team or the other.
Oh, okay.
Because we will score these flowers or these energy
Based on
points.
what the tricks?
Yes.
Ah.
And only the winner takes it all. So we might be announcing a lot of stuff and not getting all the points. They go to the opponent.
And what if this guy said, I'm going to take all the tricks?
Well,
to get...
if they don't, we get the points.
Okay, excellent.
So as soon
Yeah.
as your team makes at least one
So
trick,
you're always
then that's the round
opposing-
over, and you collect all
Yeah.
those points, even though we made the
So
announcement.
sometimes you're like, I could announce it, but hey, they went like all in. I'm not going to go against that. Let's take their points
Exactly.
rather than maybe lose ours.
Exactly.
Yeah? And then you play up to 12, and the first team to have 12 points wins the game because a game can consist of more rounds.
Okay.
And at this point, I have to thank Pedro for all the love he put in the game, all the neat little details that people
They're
might
really
not
cute.
see.
Yeah.
The beans, the block to note, all the details with the children. I mean, it's also a beauty to the eye.
It is.
And that is so nice.
Important. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
So
it's
nice
It's
for us.
different for trick-taking game. You don't
Joseph
have
was
to-
a great artist, and there's lots of little details, just small little things,
Just like a
depending
whole
on the
story,
environment
right?
that the children
And this
are.
is available today?
It is available, starting tomorrow.
Start tomorrow.
Yes,
Yes, of
yeah,
course.
€8.
Yeah, buy it.
€8. Look at that. €8. No problem.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for coming on and
Well,
showing
thanks
us
for
this
having
game.
us.
It sounds wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.